If that's what you wish.
It is.
Well, before you decide on my replacement, I think you should read these reports on Officer Ferguson.
Well, Stevens, I hope this morning is a minor setback. I don't want you out of circulation for too long.
Somebody wants me out permanently.
Getting paranoid, are we?
Oh, come on. Ground glass in my hand cream, a smashed mirror, and being stabbed in the back. It's hardly a Halloween trick.
All right. But who?
That's easy. Bryant. She's managed to take over as top dog. She's got most of the women on her side. And don't forget, she had the goods confiscated. I'm telling you, unless something's done soon, she'll put me out of business permanently.
All right, Stevens, leave it with me. You won't have to wait too long. Everything is looking just fine.
Let me get this straight. Miss Ferguson and the other prisoner, Shaw, were on their way with Donovan's meal. But you and Parker took over.
Yes, sir, on Mrs. Powell's instructions.
Was the meal out of your sight at any time?
Well, I did leave Parker in the cell with Donovan for a couple of minutes.
You're aware that conversation with prisoners in solitary is forbidden, aren't you?
I asked Mrs. Barfield to turn a blind eye.
Even the rules for solitary mean little, it seems. All right, thank you, Mrs. Barfield. That will be all. Send in Miss Ferguson, please.
Yes, thank you, sir.
Seems obvious to me that it was Parker who tried to poison Donovan.
I don't think so.
She'd been in the hospital for treatment. She could have stolen the necessary poison.
Donovan is her closest friend.
Miss Ferguson tells me they had a serious argument before this happened.
Not that serious.
Parker is mentally unstable. Her record proves she'd need little motivation for such an action. What really happened is quite obvious, and I can think of no good reason why an officer of Miss Ferguson's caliber should suffer these allegations. I'll do nothing about the position of acting deputy governor at this stage. The new department head can make that decision.
You sent for me, sir?
Yes, Miss Ferguson. We have a staff problem. Would you be prepared to accept the position of acting governor?
Well, if you believe it's within my capabilities, Minister, I can hardly refuse. Rostered you for a double shift, Mrs. Morris. We're somewhat short-staffed since Mrs. Powell was suspended.
She wasn't suspended, she's on leave of absence.
I remind you, Mrs. Morris, you are no longer acting deputy, but merely another officer, and you will show the same respect as the rest of the staff.
Look, if we're so pressed for staff, why don't you take the rounds on your own?
It's time you read the regulations, Mrs. Morris. The governor must be accompanied by an officer at all times. Now, let's not hold up the working day any longer, shall we? It is usual to come to attention when the governor enters a room.
Oh, when do we break out the champagne?
I'll ignore that slip this time, Smart. But any other prisoner who sees fit to criticise the department's decision will find herself on a charge. Clear? I said clear?
Yes.
Good. Now, just so you don't forget that you're under new management, I'll be introducing some new rulings, starting with tighter security measures. There will be no more wandering around the prison unescorted as of this minute. Glad to see you taking it so well. Get back to work. Oh, Parker. I've arranged for you to have some psychiatric assessment later this week.
What does that mean? What sort of treatment is that?
The treatment comes later, Parker. This is merely to decide which mental institution would prove most suited to you.
Bloody bitch. Oh, it's going to be a belly full of laughs having her running the joint.
Cass, she's just trying to scare you, love. There's no way you're going to go to a place like that.
You and your hotshot lawyer, they threw the bloody book at me.
Harry told me you were lucky you didn't get life after the names you called that judge.
You sued so good yourself, did you? Thought they might go easy on an old bird like you.
Well, don't you use that tone with me. I wouldn't take it when you lived with me, and I'm not about to take it now.
Oh, you know what? I'm pissed off. Grabby bitch.
All right, cut the talk.
Maybe you wouldn't have wound up in prison if you'd stayed with the family.
No, I'd have ended up like you, would I?
No, I think this one would suit you, Miss Shrewsbury.
But I told you I wanted something much more feminine.
Oh, but it wouldn't suit you. Well, I mean, I think something more in the classic line would give you a more tailored sort of a look.
Then you're not a very good judge of what's suitable for me at all, are you? Now this one... Heavens, it's terribly expensive. And that's not even real lace.
It most certainly is. Anyway, I don't think this would be much good because we only have it in one size.
And I'm sure I can find just what I want in another store. At half the price. And double the courtesy.
I don't think that lady will be back, Pixie.
Oh, I'm sorry. I know you can't afford to lose customers. Will you have to sack me?
Of course. Now, that was just teasing. The lady wouldn't have bought a dress anyway.
How do you know?
When you've been in the business as long as I have, you just know.
Thank heavens.
And to show you how pleased I am with your work, you and I are going to have a nice lunch together. Would you like that?
I'd love to.
The department must be mad putting Ferguson in charge.
You're telling us. I don't know why they didn't bring in the bloody Gestapo and be done with it.
My sentence is going to seem twice as long now.
I'm really sorry to see you're back, love. What'd you get?
A year.
Oh, God, I thought your lawyer was very optimistic about getting you off.
They found out about my kids. The way the prosecution talked, you would have thought I was running a junior mafia.
Well, I'm sorry, Timmy, but I'm glad you're going to be here at least till I go.
Hey, what's all this about?
I mean, Miss Ferguson's making me see a special doctor so she can put me in one of them mental places.
That's just for assessment, guys.
Yeah, don't let it get to you, honey.
They do awful things to you in them places, Min. You remember that film we seen a while back? I was tying people up, putting all them wires on their heads.
That's all it was, dear, a film. Anyhow, don't you worry, you're not leaving here. We'll take care of you. Won't we, Judy?
Yeah, of course we will.
Damn, I just smoked my last packet of fags. Pity Pixie can't smuggle us in some goodies, isn't it? Something 6 feet tall, male, sexy, would fill the bill nicely.
Never give up.
Attention, ladies.
Whoa.
This is Rebecca Keane, and I want you all to show her the ropes.
Her name's Red. How many times have I said it?
See, she gets so much. Will you do that? Should we share with you?
Yeah, sure. Well, how are you, love? Come and have a seat.
Rather food, thanks.
She's not going to take much wet nursing, is she? No.
Mrs. Morris, how long do we have to put up with Miss Ferguson running the joint?
And what's happened to Mrs. Powell?
None of your business, is it?
She's getting the rough end from Ferguson, too. That new chick already has. Still right up her nose.
I think it always has been. Poor Reb, she's got the whole chopping block on her shoulder.
Do you know her?
Yes.